So the bus service between cities in Mexico, like most countries other than the United States, is usually pretty good. So I haven't done it yet. This is my first time. I am going to San Jose del Cabo from La Paz, and normally I take like a smaller bus. It's a little bit more expensive. So I'm trying this out. There's a better schedule. They run like hourly or so, whereas the other one only runs like a couple times a day. So join me as I catch a bus over to San Jose del Cabo. You can buy your tickets online, and there's a couple of different bus companies out there. So I just paid attention to which buses I saw around town. And so I'm using the Aguila bus today. They had the best schedules for when I wanted to get to San Jose del Cabo. And like I said, I could have bought them online, but instead I just came down here and paid cash inside the bus station on the Malecon. One of the things I really like about taking the bus is that you usually end up right in the middle of downtown instead of when you go to an airport, you end up kind of further out from the city, and then you need to make your way into town. Also, it's usually less expensive, and you don't have to be at the airport so much in advance. They say you have to be, or you're suggested to be here 30 minutes in advance, but I'm sure just a few minutes in advance would be just fine. So there's a bus right here that says San Jose del Cabo. When I tried to get on, they said, wait a minute, but other people are getting on. So sometimes it's not quite clear, but I always just trust the process. So my other rule in Mexico is trust the system, but don't trust the system too much. So if you're starting to feel like, maybe I'm gonna get left behind, go ahead, ask, and the second time I asked, it's like, yeah, definitely, it's right here, get on in. So I'm not quite sure what happened there the first time. But yeah, so it's just like a big bus that you would find in the United States, put your luggage down below or smaller stuff up above. So let's talk about the comfort. It was well air conditioned. The seats had a lot of leg room, a lot more than the Eco Baja Tours buses. That's kind of a crapshoot as to whether you'll get a seat with a lot of leg room or whether you'll be like, munching on your knees. So here, every seat was a good seat. They reclined back significantly, and they had little TVs on there where you could watch movies. And even when someone is reclined back all the way, you can like tilt that so that you can still see your movie. They did have on-seat power or in-seat power, and also USB power. So I used the USB power, but I didn't plug my computer in because what they didn't have were little tray tables. So it wasn't very easy to be able to work on the bus. And they also did not have Wi-Fi. And I think that's a little bit less common or a little bit unusual for Mexico. I think a lot of these long distance buses do have Wi-Fi. And it might be because there's not a lot of cellular signal between La Paz and San Jose. There's a lot of spots where your cell phone isn't going to work, at least your Wi-Fi isn't going to work. You might still have a cellular signal enough to have a conversation, but not so much to use Wi-Fi. And these buses do have bathrooms. I went to check that out. I noticed, though, there was no toilet paper, so the standard rule of always bring your own toilet paper when in Mexico does apply. So this bus here took about 3.5 hours to get between La Paz and San Jose del Cabo. So I'm probably about 5 or 6 blocks from the big Zocalo in San Jose del Cabo. Of course, in La Paz, it's right there on the Malecon. And I want to compare it to the Eco Baja Tours, because the Eco Baja Tours is only 2.5 hours and takes you directly to the airport. So I've still got another little trip to take on a different bus to get from downtown San Jose del Cabo to the airport, or I could pay about 200 pesos, so about $10 to take an Uber. So let's look at differences though. The bus here, the bigger bus does stop more often. So it made a couple of stops in La Paz at different places, and then it stopped in Todos Santos, but we weren't welcome to get off the bus. The Eco Baja Tours bus does stop in Todos Santos, and you're able to kind of get out and you've got 15 minutes to walk around, stretch your legs, use the bathroom. The Eco Baja Tours bus is small, doesn't have a bathroom. Also get some drinks and snacks and things like that. But here, I think it's a bigger bus. You don't get to get it on and off. They were up also, it stopped in Pescadero. And then the big one is it stopped in Cabo San Lucas. So Eco Baja Tours, as it's getting close to Cabo San Lucas, takes the toll road and goes directly to the airport, which saves so much time versus driving into Cabo San Lucas. And the bus stop there is not really near the tourist area. The bus stop is pretty far back. You probably would have to take a cab or it'd be quite a long walk. from the downtown waterfront area. And then between Cabo San Lucas and San Jose del Cabo is the highway. And today we were rather lucky. There wasn't a lot of traffic, but I've heard some nightmares of if someone has an accident along that road, it can really mess up how long it takes to get between these two. If you just get into the airport and the timing works for you, the Eco Baja Tours bus, even though it's about twice the price, so this was $15 or so, $14 compared to about $30 for the Eco Baja Tours. For me, I wanted to spend a little bit of time in San Jose del Cabo, so this actually works out pretty well. I've got a little bit of a break before I'll hop on the Ruta bus, which will be the next thing you see, and that is the local bus that goes out to the airport. But right now, I'm gonna head over and get some pancakes. If you haven't yet pushed the subscribe button, I would love for you to do that. It really helps me out. Push the subscribe, the bell, and all. Okay, I thought we were having a miscommunication moment when the woman told me, she seated me in and said what sounded like, we don't have pancakes. And then she said it in English, that they don't have pancakes. So looks like we're just gonna have some other kind of breakfast at this point. Disappointing that the pancake house doesn't have pancakes. Okay, so help me out. How can a pancake house not have pancakes? Especially, they served me eggs, so I know I have eggs, and I think the other ingredients like flour and maybe a little bit of oil. So a little confused there, but had my eggs, and all is well. Now I'm just gonna hang out in San Jose del Cabo for a few hours before heading to the airport. So to chill out in San Jose del Cabo, I would normally go to Teacher's Coffee, which was just a half a mile away, so I walked down there, getting a little hot now. Sadly, Teacher's Coffee was closed today. I hope that's not a permanent thing. I just love that place. But I'm gonna go up the street, try to find another coffee shop just to hang out and cool off a little bit. So from the Aguila bus station, you've got a couple of choices to get to the airport. One is to walk to the right, and you can catch the Ruta bus, which costs about $4, or the other one is just catch an Uber, which costs about $10. So I'm cheap and adventurous, so I'm going to catch the Ruta. So if you want to continue along on the journey, let's go to the airport on the Ruta bus. So there are some colectivos. Those are not the right buses. This one is, I guess, a nicer bus. There's a bus sign here. You guys said something about a Super Cabo. So it looks like maybe the blue signs are what I'm looking for, because I just talked to someone inside the store here, bought myself a 7-Up, and they said the bus will stop here in just a few minutes. I see it coming now. So the Ruta bus is a nice bus. I did wave it down and they picked me up. They did make change. The bus driver did make change for me, found my seat. This is Cabo, so less than half the people were wearing masks, whereas on the other bus coming out of La Paz is a much more masking city now during COVID. I'm sure that'll change in the future, hopefully. From the Aguila bus to the airport to Terminal 2 is for international departures. It took about a half an hour or so, and the bus was mildly air conditioned. It wasn't uncomfortable. And I've read online that if you want to take the bus away from the airport, you have to go to Terminal 1. But there were a couple of people getting on here at Terminal 2, so look into that. The website for the Ruta Desierto is non-existent, and their Facebook page is awful, so I'm not sure where the best way to get information about this is. But I'm here at the airport now, so I have made it, and I'm going to go inside and work on the FMM process, which may be changing. So if you're a tourist, you'll have your paperwork with you, if there's still paperwork. Otherwise, if you're a resident, there'll be another video up here about what to do, as this may be changing. Hasta luego.